everybody, it's Angel from Halo Inspirations. We give you inspirations to help you spread beauty and joy through your quilting journey. Happy hump day to you. Happy Wednesday to you. I hope I am finding you in a week of fantabulousness. Is that a word? I don't know. Made it up. Fantabulousness. We need some fantabulousness every week, right? So, before I get started, I do want to mention that for 2 weeks, I won't be dropping any videos. I could drop videos, but I always do a live Facebook afterwards, and I won't be available for that. So I've decided to not drop any new videos for you for the next 2 weeks. So nothing's wrong. Everything's good to go. I'm just taking a small vacation, and I'm going to go see my mom because, you know, Mother's Day is right around the corner. Just an FYI. I didn't realize it until last week. Exactly. I was like, oh my gosh, Mother's Day is right on the corner. So at any rate, 2 weeks, and then I'll be back and we'll resume our inspirations for you. But today is about 100% cotton batting. Now, I did a video. It was like, it's just kind of an overall about different things. And I told you in that video, and I'll put a link here. I think it's on this side. I hope so. I'm trying to remember with these things. But I did a really quick video on just an overview, but I told you we would dig a little bit deeper. These videos will be shorter because I'm just talking about one specific kind, and this week is 100% cotton. So, you know, especially when you're new, or even some who aren't new, we hear about all the different battings, but we're not quite sure what it means for a quilt or for the type of quilting, or in a lot of different ways. We may be wondering about it, but we're just don't have enough basis unless we talk to our BF quilty buddy, right? And they've tried it. So we're going to dig in. This week is 100% cotton, but I will do different videos throughout the year about different types of batting, just to give you some more information and give you some more knowledge to make a educated decision on which batting you would like to utilize. So 100% cotton. Let's go ahead and get this started. I've got samples, I've got notes, I've got things I want to talk about, and I actually did some quilting on some samples. So I'm hoping you'll see these in the videos. I'm also going to take pictures and I'll throw them up just in case, but I really do think you're going to be able to see the samples and what it means. I truly do. I only did 3 samples for this video, but I think you'll get the understanding behind it, and then we'll show different lofts and we'll talk about all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to bring you in so that I have a camera that you can see more, and then I'll be sure just to keep chit-chatting with you. We're going to talk about some 100% cotton batting because we all love batting for our quilts. And, you know, you can make a top, but it's not a quilt until it's sandwiched, quilted, and bound, right? So let's dig in on this inspiration for this week, 100% cotton batting. Okay, so I've changed the camera angle. I have a camera out here so we can talk about some things and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Yeah, I have my hair pulled up too. It is hot. It is hot here in Virginia now. My hot is different than most people's hot. I don't know what it is, 70 some degrees. I am sweating bullets. So, trying to get a little comfortable. I know y'all don't mind. It's, we're friends, right? So I've got my working hair on and I got my notes, and let's just go ahead and get this started. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is 100% cotton batting. Now, I am going to do this mostly with Quilter's Dream because it is one of my 2 faves, and I think it's my ultimate favorite. I always go back and forth. But a lot of this has to do with Quilter's Dream. So I just want to give you a heads up on that, which you can find in our store. I have various different things available for you to buy with Quilter's Dream. I also have a little bit of Hobbs. And we'll talk about that later. But so with 100% cotton, I want to tell you that they are available with Quilter's Dream in 4 lofts. Now, if you don't know what a loft is, that's basically the thickness, right? How poofy your quilt is after it's quilted, okay? So the first loft is a 3-ounce loft, and they call it Request. I had to look at my notes because I always get this backwards. So it's Request. It's the thinnest loft. It is absolutely the thinnest loft. It's available in natural and white. So what does that mean? Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. We do have a natural color, and I'm hoping you can see this. I'm going to turn down the light for just a second. Nope, I'm going to turn it up maybe. There we go. That's good. So you can see this is a little bit like a beige color. That's your natural. And then this is more white. That's your bleached. Some companies call them bleached. And when you would use the bleached is in quilts that have a white background and utilize like a lot of bright colors, pastel colors, yellows, pinks, pastel blues. If you use a natural, and if it bothers you, for me it doesn't matter, okay? But the natural may dinge the white a little bit, being in the backdrop. Another place you might see this, you know, if you do a memory quilt and you use some shirts that are really thin, of course you're going to have a stabilizer, I would imagine, on it, but this using the white may be beneficial because it won't dinge it more, okay? So some of these are offered. The 3-ounce Request is offered in natural and in light with Quilter's Dream. So that's the differences. They're very, very good lightweight quilting, okay? It's very consistent batting, very lightweight. It was actually with Quilter's Dream, they developed it for hand quilters. So it's very, very good for hand quilters. Now you can use it for domestic machine quilting. You just got to be gentle, and long armors can use it if they float their tops. And if you're a long armor, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But this is the first picture. Okay, this is the first one. Now I will throw up pictures, but when I start laying these things out and you can see some of the differences, I think you'll be able to tell. I do. I might be wrong. When I go to edit this video, I will definitely make sure. I'm going to turn down the light. So give me a second. Okay. And I'm doing that because I'm trying to show that contrast. So this is done with Request, the 3-ounce, the thinnest loft that they have available. Okay. And like I said, it's very, very good for hand quilting. And if you're gentle with it, with domestic machine, and if you float your tops, you can use it for long arming. But you gotta, it's recommended that you use if you float your tops. Okay. So this is the 3-ounce Request, offered in natural and white. The next one we have is a 4-ounce, and it's called Select, and it's also offered in natural and white. It is the most popular, according to Quilter's Dream. It is their most popular 100% cotton batting. Okay. And it's very good for both hand. It's very versatile and very good for both hand quilting and domestic quilting. And I actually have a sample of that. This is where we're going to start seeing the differences. And I'm actually going to hold up some batting that I have to see if you can see the thickness. But it is a 4-ounce loft, so it's a medium loft, right? And if you look here, I'm pretty sure you can see this. Now you gotta love this, right? Yep, I didn't press out the seam or the wrinkle all the way. Anyway, this is your Select. The 4 ounce is called Select with Quilter's Dream. And you can see just a little bit of poofiness, a little bit of loft with these curvatures where this looks a lot more flat. I really do think you can see that. I'm looking at the video at the same time because I want to, when I say something, I want to know that I'm saying it correctly. So, thinnest loft, 3 ounce, request. 4 ounce mid-loft, most popular, 100% cotton with Quilter's Dream, and it is a medium loft, okay? And it's really good for both, like I said, hand quilting and domestic quilting. And it's really good for projects, most quilting projects. This is where people like to live. And it's also good for a mid-weight on your drape. So it's not too heavy. Okay. The next one, which I don't have a sample of, but the next one is a 6 ounce. So it's going to be a little bit more lofty than this. And it's called their Deluxe. It's 6 ounce and it's only offered in natural. Okay. But it gives more warmth and a little more weight. So you have to think about that. The loftier it is, usually it's a little heavier and a little warmer. So you always have to think about that. When you're talking about what batting to pick, some of those questions we talked about in that last video, who are you quilting for? Where do they live? You know, what's their preferences? What look are you going for? All of these things do pertain, okay? So the 6 inch only offered in natural is called Deluxe, and it gives a little, what it does is it will give a little bit more emphasis on your quilting. I mean, I feel like, and y'all can call me out, but I feel like even between the Select and the Request, this is your thinnest loft. It's really flat, right? Where this one, the quilting has a little bit more dimension. So imagine even more of a thicker loft. It really is going to emphasize more on your quilting. And just wait, because I do have an example for their heaviest loft. But it's awesome for machine quilting. Weighty, is weighty a word? Weighty quilts. Wall hangings, bags, and crafts. Any kind of craft projects that you may have, this is a really good batting to choose. So I've used it. I wish I had the quilt with me that I used it for. I actually like it, but I like loft. So it just really depends on what you're looking for and what you desire as your end finish. So the last one that they offer is an 8 ounce loft, and it's called Supreme, and it is their highest loft available that they have. It's very, very warm. It's a lot more heavy. Listen, it is a 1/2 pound of cotton for every square yard. Now, a square yard is 1 yard by 1 yard. Okay. So every square yard is a 1/2 pound of cotton. So needless to say, it is heavier, definitely, and a lot more warm. Okay. But check this out, guys. I'm going to throw this one up. So here we have, this one here is and I hope this isn't too dark. I turned down the light so you can see more, but this is your thinnest loft Request of 3 ounces. This is the most popular of Select. Okay. And here's the heaviest. Now I don't know how much you're going to be able to tell. They actually look really similar, which is interesting on video. This one is a little more poofy. It's got a little more thickness to it. And what happens is it makes your quilting even more emphasized, in my opinion. It definitely does. It is very good for machine quilting. Special projects that are, you know, that heavier weight quilts. If you want that thickness or that volume, that's where your Supreme comes in, that 8-ounce loft. And it's a brilliant, very, very brilliant. It's good for wall hangings and different craft projects also, and for your weighty quilts or heavier quilts that you're looking at. If you want that warmth, because it's going to be really, really warm, because there's a lot of cotton going on here at a 1/2 pound per square yard. So 4 different lofts for you guys, 2 different colors in 2 of them, and the Deluxe and the Supreme only in natural. Okay, now I want to show you too about loft, and I'm hoping I hope that this is picked up. I am praying. So let me pull this up. Maybe that'll help. All right. This is Request, the thinnest loft from Quilter's Dream. It's very thin, very lightweight. It's very soft. I absolutely love it. But as far as how their batting feels, it feels really good. But it's very, very thin. Okay, now I'm going to hold up Select, which is their mid-loft, next to it. So I have it on top. Oh yeah, you can see that. You can see the difference between the thin 3-ounce loft and the mid-loft. Okay, now the heaviest loft of Supreme. Check this out, guys. Oh, it's hard for you to see. Here, I'm going to put that one down. There we go. I think you can see that now. It is thick. It is much thicker than the mid-loft, the Select. Oh my gosh. I want to make sure I'm saying the right name. So that's your lofts. That's your cotton batting that is with Quilter's Dream. Now I want to talk about some of the advantages. Now, first and foremost, one of the advantages, I got to see if I have it written down somewhere. They don't have, Quilter's Dream does not have any scrim, which I'll show you an example of scrim in a little bit. They don't have any scrim, they don't have any glue, and they don't have any binding in it, inside of it. Is that the word? Binders. Okay, so I didn't know what, no, not that. Okay, so they don't have any of that. It's just 100% cotton, and they use the highest grade. I didn't know this. I've been learning this as, you know, I started to sell batting, and I'm giving you this information so you understand it better. But there are, I think, 4 different grades of cotton, and the highest grade is really, really strong, and it's long. And what that does is when you're quilting with Quilter's Dream, a lot of their 100% cottons are all 8 inches apart. So that gives you a lot of freedom in your quilting. You can quilt less than that by all means, but the furthest you can go is 8 inches. And that's without any scrim, any glue, or any binders at all inside. It's just 100% USA grown cotton. That's important too, to say, because a lot of us are very partial to having things for those of you that live in the United States, it's very partial to you that we get that homegrown cotton. No matter what country you live in, you like having homegrown, right? So it is a USA product, but it's very, very strong. So you can quilt that 8 inches apart and it's fine. You're not going to get that, you know, if you have a batting that says you can quilt 6 inches and you go to 8, I say this, I've said this a million times, going to say it again. This is where it's important. It's where, okay, when you bought a comforter from a store and you wash it and dry it several times, and then some of the insides will be like really bulky up in this corner, and then it'll be like nothing down here, where the batting inside, the internals migrate. If you quilt within those boundaries, that prevents the migration of the batting. So 8 inches is a lot for 100% batting. That is a lot. And there's no scrim, no binders, and no glue. It's straight cotton. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. The other thing that they do is not only do they use the highest grade, but they card, they cross lap, and they needle punch for the strength. So carding, I didn't know what that was, so I learned. It's a machine processing, and actually it's been around since the 1800s, but it's a mechanical process that disentangles everything, all the fibers. It cleans the fibers, and it intermixes them together to form basically like their web or their sliver of cotton, because we're talking about cotton. I mean, you can do that with any kind of fibers, natural fibers, but it allows it to be processed further so we can have batting for our quilts. But it's they do all of that, and they use 100% USA grown cotton, and they're very proud of that. And I understand it. And I love it personally because I live in the USA. But they actually had to change manufacturers during COVID because their cotton producer was having issues, or maybe they shut down. I don't know what the exact story is, but I do know that they had to switch them in the middle of this pandemic because they needed that cotton, but it had to come from the USA. So just so you know, they're very, very particular, and they use the best, the highest grade of cotton, high quality, and their processing they use to get it done. It allows them to further process in a way that makes that strong. That's why we get that 8 inches. Okay. Now, I did talk about, oh, no, before I do that, I'm going to give you some advantages to you and disadvantages to using 100% cotton. So the fibers is completely, like I said, with Quilter's Dream. It is 100% renewable cotton fiber grown by U.S. farmers. Okay. They use the longest and highest grade. And because of that, one of the things that I've noticed, using a higher grade, I get less lint, a lot less lint in my quilting, whether it's on my domestic or on my long arm. I've noticed there's a lot less lint than when I use a company that has a lower grade. So that's another benefit for you. The other thing about using the cotton and the highest grade is that it has less bearding. It resists that bearding. Now, for those of you who are new, bearding is like if when you go to quilt, sometimes when your needle comes down through, the batting will come through the holes with it. And sometimes that happens when you wash, but there's a different reason if that happens with Quilter's Dream. I can't speak for any other company, but they say if you're getting any bearding, use a dryer sheet to help eliminate. I actually use an alpaca dryer ball, is what I use, and it helps eliminate the static. Whatever will help eliminate static, because static can cause bearding. But a lower grade cotton will also pull much easier. So you may see some bearding in there where it's more resistant if they use a higher grade cotton. So the other bonus to using Quilter's Dream, an advantage, again, I'll say it again because this is huge, 8 inches apart, guys, 8 inches. That's amazing. So it really, really does give you that freedom to quilt in a larger scale if that's what you want. And it still gives a really nice drape at the same time. Now, drape is, you know, how it lays. Okay, because you know, sometimes when you quilt really heavy, well, maybe you don't. Sometimes when you quilt with some batting really, really densely, it makes it like a cardboard box that can stand on its own. Quilter's Dream tends to have a really nice drape even when you quilt closer together. Okay. Shrinkage with cotton. There is an advantage, a disadvantage, and advantage with it. With the advantage of the idea of using cotton. Okay, so when you wash your quilt and you've used cotton, it'll shrink a bit. Now with Quilter's Dream, it's about 1 to 3% with their 100% cottons. And, but what it'll do, the bonus is it'll give that puckering look. If that's what you want. If you want that antique or natural quilt look where it just puckers, you know, around your quilting, that's going to be more in your 100% cotton than it would be in other material, possibly. Okay, so that is an advantage if you want it. They're breathable. With Quilter's Dream, the no scrims or other barriers to prevent that airflow. So it is an advantage is that it's more breathable than polyester or using a scrim, which again, I'll show you an example of scrim here in a bit. It's very warm. Cotton does have a natural thermal type of thing that really holds heat. At the same time, it's not as good as wool or alpaca fibers or some other fibers, but it does wick away some of the moisture. So if you're underneath a quilt with 100% cotton, it will tend to, our bodies naturally do have moisture, so it's going to wick it away, pull it away from us so we don't feel yucky, right? I feel when you have a lot of moisture, it makes you even hotter, number one. And number two, it can actually make you go back and forth where you feel really cold and miserable and then hot and sweaty. So because it has a little bit of wicking coming from it, it actually helps make it more warm, but not an ugly warm. So the disadvantages are that it does shrink. So if you don't want any puckering, if you don't want shrinkage to cause the puckering, this is not the fiber you want to use. It doesn't dry as quickly. That's another disadvantage as like polyester battings or man-made fibers. It does take a little longer to dry. It's a little higher in cost, a little bit more expensive than buying some of your manufactured fibers. With Quilter's Dream, some of the color, with Deluxe and Supreme, we don't have both colors of natural and white. You only have it in the 2 lofts, the Select and Request. So that's a possible disadvantage. And the other thing, with 100% cotton, it's not recommended that you use it for tie quilting. So if you're doing any tie quilting, it's not recommended. Not saying that you couldn't, just it's not recommended. It won't hold as well if you do that. Now, don't pre-wash any of your battings that you typically get unless the package tells you to. You do not want to do that. It doesn't matter what company you use. Please read the label. Most of the ones anymore will tell you do not pre-wash. It will destroy it. Okay. If you want to get the wrinkles out, then it's really good idea that you, I just throw it in the dryer on the low heat and run it for about 15-20 minutes. That works wonders. And then I lay it out for the next 24-48 hours before I use it in my quilts. But some people say they just spritz a little bit of water, just tiny mist, throw it in the air dry, tumble dry, light dry, whatever your setting is, the lightest one, and that'll help get rid of some of the wrinkles. Please do not pre-wash your batting. You'll cry. I promise you'll cry. And as far as that static bearding, like I talked about, static equals bearding with Quilter's Dream. So throw in your dryer sheets or your dryer balls that help eliminate some of that static. But the other thing I wanted to talk about is with the scrim. I'm going to show you an example. Now, Hobbs does have 100% cotton batting too, and they carry two lines of batting. One is called Heirloom and one is called Tuscany. Oh, is it just Tuscany? I don't remember if it's just Tuscany. Tuscany is all I can think. But the Heirloom comes in like these rolls, okay? And they also have different colors. So they have the natural and they call it bleached. But I'll show a picture here how the packaging comes for Tuscany. The difference between Heirloom and Tuscany is only on the finish. It's not with the cotton. They use the same cotton inside. The only difference is the finish. So with the Heirloom, they use a machine that they roll up there and then they cut it and then they compress it to put it in this bag. And with the Tuscany, it's all hand done. So they lay it out, they cut it by hand, they fold it by hand, they package it by hand. One of the differences because of that is, number one, cost. Tuscany will cost more. The Heirloom will have more wrinkles. It will be less wrinkling with the Tuscany. And then the other difference is wrinkles. Hold on. Wrinkles. The Tuscany has a little bit more loft. So with Hobbs, they measure their loft a little different. They say that the Heirloom is an 1/8 inch of a loft and the Tuscany is a 1/4 inch. So it is a little more lofty than the Heirloom. Okay. I do not have Heirloom in the store. I have a little bit of Hobbs Heirloom. I'm going to start carrying the Tuscany instead, just because I think it's just a little better to have that hand. Oh, it's a little more expensive because it's hand done, right? So you are going to see a little bit more cost to it, but with less wrinkles. And I like the square format personally, which is what Quilter's Dream has, is the square packaging like I was showing earlier. So at any rate, the last thing I wanted to explain was that scrim. So Hobbs actually does offer an Heirloom natural with scrim. And I want to show you what that means. And their scrim is a very, very slight layer of polyester. So if you have somebody who's allergic to polyester, this probably isn't a good idea. And of course, like we talk about, it's going to slightly have an effect on breathability. I wouldn't imagine it's a lot though, because it's really thin and it's only on one side. But I'm pulling you into this camera here because if I showed the two sides of this batting, it's really hard to tell which one has the scrim. But I'm going to pull it apart so that you can actually see this. Okay. So there is that really thin layer of scrim. I mean, it's thin, guys. And like I said, you don't typically see it. Now, why would we do that? Well, they're cotton battings, these other two. I'm going to hold this up and I'm going to do a little show for you. This is going to break my heart, but it's important. Very soft, very supple, very nice. 4 inches of quilting, okay? So they recommend for their batting that you don't go above 4 inches on their cotton batting, 100% cotton batting. With the scrim, you can do 8. That's a huge difference, okay? Now, so what it's doing is it's giving you strength. Check this out. Oh, wait, let me show you. Oh, it's gonna break my heart. When you do this this is their 100% cotton batting. Look how much it stretches. And if I rip this hard enough, oh, you can already start to see it. I'm getting a hole, right? Oh, I hated doing that. But, oh, and then look at this hot mess now, right? It just distorts it. And that hole, I mean, it'll get in your quilting, right? There's that hole right there, okay? Check this out. That's what it does. It gives strength, okay? Very beautiful, soft, supple, very nice drape. Hobbs does a great job. But I wanted to show you what that scrim was and what it meant for you, okay? So that is 100% cotton batting. Let me come at you before I let you go. I'll see you in just a sec. Okay, wasn't that exciting? I know, batting, exciting. Really, Angel? Yes, I love talking about quilting, and batting's included. You know, bottom line is we all end up finding our go-tos, you know, what we really enjoy, how we like how the quilting comes out. We like how our quilts as an overall come out. Maybe the weight is an issue, maybe the warmth is an issue, but you find something that you enjoy. And I'm just here to just provide a little, I said this would be quick. It went quick. Y'all should know me. At any rate, it's all about finding that, and it's all about what it is that makes you happy, and in turn will make your recipient happy. And batting is in the middle. It's the meat of the sandwich. Now, if I were going to spend a little money, I would always start with fabric. That would be the most important place to spend money. The second one, I would say it's thread. And the higher ends, what you will find is less of thread breakage, just a beautiful quality that you'll end with, but it's all about less frustration. So that would be my second place I would look for. And the last place would be batting. But if you find that batting that you are so in love with, just keep going. Keep using it. In the future, if you're watching any of these videos and you're intrigued, go ahead and give it a try and see how that batting works out for you. But that is 100% cotton batting, guys. Whoop, whoop. And it's Wednesday. I want to lastly again wish you a happy Wednesday. I will be on Facebook Live today. 3 p.m. here, my time, which I'm in Virginia, USA, Virginia. So 3 p.m. I'll be there for any questions and answer session or a live Q&A, quilting and answer session, however you want to look at that. We like to have a little fun playing on words. But I'll be there today, 3 p.m. live on Facebook. Come out and join us. I'd love to have you there. And I again want to reiterate that for the next 2 hump days, there will be no video drop. I'm on vacation. Now, don't think I'm not working, but I am taking some non-working days more than usual because this is a time that we all do within our jobs and we get rejuvenated and get a little energy back. And I just want to be here giving you more inspirations, having more fun. And we do have more things coming. We have a quilt along I'm just waiting on the fabric, guys. And we have small projects. I will do more of these videos that are more into a specific kind of quilting. So there will be that, but we've got lots more fun to have this year. So I will see you guys 3 Wednesdays. So not next Wednesday, not the Wednesday after, but the 3rd Wednesday. I'll be back here with a new inspiration for you. I hope to see you on Facebook Live today. I want to lastly say that we do have some Quilter's Dream and some Hobbs in our shop. I'm going to put the link down here in the bottom, but there's a clickable link in the description box. So in case you can't view YouTube in a way that you can click inside the description box, I have given you the link down here for our shop, and you can find some of those things inside our shop. And yeah, that's it, guys. That is 100% cotton batting. That is it for this Wednesday. Happy hump day. And until next time, may y'all continue to be inspired, productive, and ever so joyful. And never stop making your dreams in quilting come true. I love y'all. Happy hump day. Happy Wednesday. Until next time, happy quilting.